Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Mickey Loomis met with the media on Wednesday to preview the draft. Larry Holder of theathletic.com joins us now to talk a little bit about it, what the Saints might do with their two picks in round one on Thursday. Larry, thanks as always, man. How are you?
I'm good, Matthew. How are you today?
Doing very well, thanks. Any significant takeaway from what Mickey Loomis had to say when he met with reporters?
No, zero, none. For normal.
I know.
I don't even know why we do this. I know but we try to get information out of him, but it just never works. And he is obligated by the NFL and media obligations to do it, so he does it, and he points and laughs at us every year, and that's just the way it's going to go probably forever with him.
I think there was one thing, though, that was significant today. And he said that the Eagles trade was done with the intention of making two picks, not to trade again. So are you assuming at this point that the Pels are planning on making the 16th and 19th picks? The Saints, excuse me?
Yeah, and when they made that move, that's what I figured. It wasn't to trade up to take a quarterback. I mean, that was of course, immediate, fast assumption by national media who don't necessarily know what they're talking about all the time in terms of the Saints. And so it was basically because they could not augment their team enough in free agency, and they're trying to go the 2017 blueprint to build again through the draft. They did it 5 years ago. They want to try to do it again. And it's something that I'm curious to see if maybe they don't get tempted to move up. And I think there's only one position maybe they would get really tempted to move up to draft, and that would be tackle. Mm-hmm. Just because if there's a run on tackles, I feel like they would really like to have one. But it's something they're not moving up to take a quarterback. They're not going to move up to take a corner. We could name the positions. I know people would love them to move up to take a wide receiver, but I don't think it would be cost efficient for them to do that. So I feel like that they want to take two players in the first round, and they probably feel like they're in better shape to do it this time than they did in 17, just because their second pick is at number 32. Their second pick this time around is 19.
Do you think they would trade up for a receiver or stand pat, considering it feels like there's a glut of really good receivers in this draft and they could take one at 16 or 19?
Yeah, I don't think they would trade up for a receiver. Here's the thing. The top four might fly off the board. And my consideration of the top four would be Garrett Wilson, and no particular order, Jameson Williams, Drake London, Chris Olave. Mm-hmm. I feel like the one that would be likely there for 16 or 19 would be Olave, and I think that would be a fine pick, and it would fit what they would need. But I can't see them trading up to get one, because I feel like that there still would be depth even round two. There's some players I like there. So I think the Saints probably feel the same way as well.
All right, Larry Holder's with us. He's on Twitter at Larry Holder, theathletic.com/New Orleans. All right, so what players – we've all kind of had the same conversation about offensive tackle, wide receiver at 16, 19, however it may look. There's a lot of scuttle here in the last 24 hours that a team like the Chargers might be looking to leapfrog the Saints to take maybe Trevor Penning, knowing that they're going to have to get ahead of the Saints at 16. Do you think there's a scenario that could unfold where the Saints would be aggressive and move up for a tackle or any player?
I do. I think a tackle. I think that's probably the only position that they would move up for. And because after Penning, it really drops off. And I feel like knowing, because I've actually, my role's kind of changed this past year, where I've done a lot of just overall NFL, and I've paid and written a ton about offensive lines. I can tell you the Chargers absolutely need a right tackle. There's zero question. If the Saints pass at 16 and Penning's there, I would be shocked if the Chargers did not take Penning at 17. They need one badly. They took Rashawn Slater last year. He's their left tackle. He's been an upgrade. Right tackle is their Achilles heel. So the Chargers might want to try to jump the Saints. So I feel like, though, that the Saints also if they want to trade up to go get someone like Penning, you don't have to use both first-round picks. You could use one of the ones and then a later pick to jump a couple spots to do that. So the only way they would jump and use both of their ones would be to go up and get someone like probably Charles Cross, and that's how much it would cost. They could probably jump up as high as 5 with those 2 picks. I don't know if they want to do that. They probably don't, but I definitely see a scenario where if they feel like the Chargers are make a move, that they would try to leapfrog them and kind of beat them out in a trade to go get someone like Penning, because I feel like Penning is really the last day one starting tackle in this draft. And I mean week 1 starting tackle in this draft.
So how much of an immediate need is that for the Saints? I know they lost Teron Armstead, but he missed half the season last year anyway, and they had a serviceable guy there in Hurst. So is it that dramatic of a need for them?
Well, I think that you add it all up, and their offensive line was so beat up. I mean, if they had their starting left tackle, they probably wouldn't have been. They probably, people wouldn't have been as banged up, and the Saints would have run more efficiently. So I think it's probably a bigger need than even though Hurst is there. Like, there's a reason why Hurst is a backup. He signed with the Saints as a reserve, and his role diminished during his time in Baltimore, and so that's why he is kind of where he is. So. Do I think that maybe they can find one in round 2 or 3 and see how it goes? Yes. Do they want to probably put themselves in that position, especially considering they have assets to go get a guy they probably feel confident that could start day 1 and use Hurst as kind of a 6th guy? I feel like that they would want to make that move as opposed to just saying, all right, Hurst is our guy and moving forward from there.
You mentioned, and you and I talk Saints all the time, of course, but I mean, you do a lot of coverage now for The Athletic, for the NFL as a whole. Are there any other interesting storylines that you've noticed that have developed maybe in the last 24, 48 hours here in advance of the draft?
I will even keep it localized. And if we lean on BetMGM for our with The Athletic as far as odds, and the favorite to be the number 3 overall pick now is Derek Stingley. And it's not coming out of nowhere, but you keep hearing about, how he might drop to the teams. I feel like that is a development where it might kind of shock some people. And I feel like, I've said this, that I feel like Stingley, if he were to fall to like 9 or 10, I think he'd be the steal of the draft, because when he's right, I feel like he's the best player in this draft. So that development to me is a bigger deal than who goes 1, because it could be Trayvon Walker or Aiden Hutchinson. Who cares? If one goes 1, another one might go 2 or 4, so what? I think Stingley, after all this chatter of, say, Sauce Gardner being the number 1 corner, that there's a legit possibility that Stingley is still the number 1 corner in the draft.
He's on Twitter at Larry Holder. Give him a follow. All right. We know what the Saints picked, their selections look like. And we know what the needs are at the top of the draft. What would you like to see them do? What do you think are, maybe a better way to ask it, are the biggest needs or musts in days 2 and 3 of the draft?
I think the Saints could look safety. Someone like Jaquan Brisker, I think he's more of a strong safety. Look, you don't have a total replacement that you feel great about, probably, with Malcolm Jenkins gone, because you don't want to move, in my opinion, you don't want to move CJ out of his role where he's playing nickel and doing his thing, and you probably want to have someone strong at that spot. So maybe someone like that, maybe interior defensive line, nose tackle, and things of that nature. And I know we haven't talked quarterback yet.
I was going to ask.
I know. I'm surprised you didn't have a coronary when you saw a friend of ours, Mike Triplett, take a certain quarterback at 19 that I've been lauding for months. I mean, in their draft. I mean, are you okay? Did you see that? Did you need like a defibrillator or what?
I tend not to overreact to anybody's mock draft. And the scenario that unfolded, and Larry's referring to the ESPN NFL Nation draft, you're dealt the hand based on the picks ahead of you and who's taken where, and that doesn't account for trades either. So I think you would probably agree with me that the Saints are not going to take a quarterback at 16 or 19. I think you would agree with me. But I also believe there is a possibility they could take a quarterback in round 2 or 3, and that would not surprise me at all.
I think it would be a mistake if the Saints took a quarterback at 16 or 19. I'm not putting anything past them, but I think it would be a mistake. Now, if they feel like, man, we like Sam Howell in round 2, someone like that, or Matt Corral falls in round 2.
Right.
And I don't think that's such a bad plan, because you look at the guys at the top of the depth chart, one's under a 2-year deal, one's under a 1-year deal, and I think you probably look at some of these quarterbacks, and Howell's probably higher thought of than Ian Book, and things of that nature. And so I'm not. I would, like I said, it would be a mistake to me if they took one at 16 or 19. But I wouldn't frown upon it too badly if it were Corral or Howell on day 2.
Larry, a last thing. I do believe the Saints are going to take a running back at some point in this draft, and they have to. Where do you believe that they will take a running back, and if so, where do you think that could or should happen?
We'll agree it's not day 1, because, no running back might be taken day 1.
Right.
I think they wait, maybe their 3rd-round pick late. I wish I had a really good name for you. I don't in terms of that, because I just don't feel like the running back class is really that highly regarded. You have Breece Hall and you have Kenneth Walker, and those guys. If someone like Kenneth Walker fell to them in round 3, I think he would fit. But we do know that they're going to need someone eventually to replace Mark Ingram. So they have to take a look at that. And it's just, I feel like it's just light in terms of running back. And day 3 would probably be a more likely option than day 2.
He is Larry Holder on Twitter at Larry Holder. I love the draft. It's just where rosters are made and transformed over the course of 3 days, and it all starts tomorrow. We appreciate it, man. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.